Hey guys, another Black Projects 51 quick update. I covered this briefly yesterday and I posted pictures and all that. But basically, here's the hangar bay for the little triangular UFO. Uh, Granted, there's still a lot of painting and other things to be added. What I did since the last time I talked to you is I had to replace the garage door portion because it broke. And while I was at it, I replaced the transparency there in the back because that's like supposed to be a viewing area, you know. And then there's going to be lights that I put with there in the two different holes. I might put some of those LEDs in here that um, you can change the color that they display and they flash. Because to me, those lights should either be green, yellow, or red, depending on the activity going on in the bay. And it acts as a warning. So that's my thoughts behind that. I also added you can see the square styrene stock around the perimeter because when I was sticking it in here where it's supposed to rest and it fits in there, ever so snugly. And that's what I got. And I put those white strips on the back because it was kind of tilted in at the bottom and I wanted it to sit in there flush and not have to fight it when I eventually end up gluing it. Um, the power supply is right there with an on off switch. So wiring this is going to be very simple. Now, what I've got to do, and I'm thinking of putting some long lights custom made, you know, some long ones, rectangular lights along each side here and space them out, or maybe just, I don't know. I'll see what I can find, what I already have ready, or I'll have to fabricate something. One way or the other, I'm going to make something cool. Um, I was thinking about maybe making some rectangular boxes with just, uh, kind of like a border out of this stuff with the light fixtures that I would have to make. Kind of make a rectangular piece to whatever size and then put a border of this little square stuff around it. And then maybe taking some clear uh, styrene and just heating it up around an appropriate size uh, item that will give it the right shape to where I can snap it into that rectangle. You know, heat it, wrap it around here, slightly heat it up, and then it'll give it a natural bend, and then trim it to fit. Um, that's one, or I could just put a flat uh, transparency on it, which would probably be easier. It just wouldn't be as cool. And then, you know, put some. I don't want super high intensity LEDs in it, so I'll have to figure out what I got and stuff. And just I got to do some paint work on the floor, obviously, and decal work. I have existing decals which I'll probably duplicate, but I will reduce the scale of them down because this is at a smaller scale. Because the last one of these I did was that one I'm giving to Timothy Alberino. Um, that was set at about 148 scale. So I'm imagining this is probably 1/144 scale because of the size of the ship, the size of what appears to be doors on the model. So, or it may be even smaller. I'm not sure. Um, so that's what I got going in, and I still got to close off a lot of these holes and stuff, and there's plenty of work to be done on this thing before it's finished. But it's going to be a much cleaner build, I think, because I was in my learning curve with that project because I'd never built anything quite like that, and it was an experiment, and this one is too, kind of, and I've just got to um, think out the details, and I'm going to have to probably take some sprue and make some little tiny um, fire extinguishers, which will be a challenge because I'm not even sure how big the fire extinguishers. They might be so small that I don't know. Maybe I can do a something else. I'm not sure along those lines. Doesn't have to be fire extinguisher bottles on wheels or hanging from the walls, or I could, you know, make a fake fire suppression system. I mean, technically, you'd have a fire suppression system built into the roof, but there is no roof, and there's always fire extinguishers around in aircraft hangars. So they're usually the big ones that roll on two wheels. You got to have two hands to roll them, and all different kinds of fire extinguishers. But so I got that since they don't really make figures this small. I mean, I've got some for like they were tiny figures for the 1/72nd scale. I think it's 1/72nd scale. That Space Odyssey 2001 Space Odyssey space plane. Uh, I found some figures that'll fit that, but like I said, they're about 1/64th scale. I or no, they're so the lower the numbers go on the right side of a fraction like that, the bigger it is. Like 1/5 is larger than 1/8. Um, so I would need to have figures that were just really, really tiny. And I've never seen them. Now, they probably exist, but the madness of trying to find something that looks appropriate for what you're doing, especially this kind of subject matter, is pretty hard. So, yeah, these little detail beams I put on the walls, and then there's some round tubing that kind of is reminiscent of like we had in the warehouse where I used to work my last job, where you had these big round pipes that were on the inside and on the outside that were drains for the roof when we had heavy rains, and then they were vented outside. But yeah, so that's what I got going on. How much I'm going to change this color scheme, if any, probably not going to. I think the hangers are going to stay like most hangers are, gray on the inside. Sometimes they're gray white or very light gray. I don't know. But the star of the show will be the ship, obviously. And this ship will be hot glued to the base because just the way it's wired. And had I not already closed it up, I could have gone with some other options. But these building of these really small kits is not normal for me. But if the subject matter is unique, then I go ahead and get into it because if it's something I like and it's unique, but and it may not be in my favorite scales, then I'll build it anyways. Like that little Daedalus, which is what this is. I think this is from uh, Stargate Atlantis, the Daedalus, as well as Stargate SG-1 in seasons 8 through 10. I think these things started appearing. Don't quote me, but it's highly detailed, beautiful print on my 3D printer, and I just really like it. And I like it because it's small, but it has incredible detail. I just wasn't expecting that. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting it to be, details cut with a dull butter knife, but no, these things are crisp and a lot of it, and it looks very cool. And so I want to build a cool little display stand. There's some little antennas that got to go. I think there's another set of smaller antennas that go right about here. Well, here, let me get this thing that go right about there. Matter of fact, there are some little tiny ones there um, represented on both sides. And then right here, this has like two or three antennas vertical going up off of it. And I'll have to do some checking. But once I get all that done, the color of this thing is I'm going to put another coat of airbrushed Stynylrez primer on here, which is what this is. Good primer. It lays so nice and the finish is awesome. It almost gives that egg eggshell feel to your models. It's just a really good high end primer and it puts a really nice tight finish on your models. And so I'm probably going to airbrush it one more time in the Stynylrez and just a light coat to make sure because I've done a little work on it and there's a few bare spots. So I'm going to go ahead and get that done. And then I got to fabricate a stand for it, which I just had an epiphany of the idea more like a cradle, one forward, one aft, a wider opening back where the engines are, and then a narrower, just U-shaped opening in the front, and finish it up nice and paint it nice and put it on, I don't know, some plexiglass because I got plenty of that around here. So, um, yeah, I think I just figured out my stand and it's more stable. So, and then put a little data placard on there, which I'd have to make, and put the nomenclature on there, USS Prometheus, and I guess it's the Prometheus, or no, I said who Daedalus. It was the Daedalus. Yeah, Prometheus is a different class of ship. So for me, to you, geeking out. So I'm going to do that. Paint it up as nice as I can. There's not a heck of a lot of detail. So, and I don't even think I can make a decal that small to fit. I think even the smallest font would be way too small or way too big. So, yeah, there's some things I can do with it and some things I can't do with it, but I want to make the most of it. Um, I may try putting that up for sale too when it's all done and just seeing if it gets any bites. Because I can always print another one, and I want to, but I want to print one about 4 times, 5 times bigger, or maybe even 6 times bigger than that one on my 16K. So I may do that. I'm going to get my buddy Steve to come over and help me, though. He gave me some lessons. I picked up a lot, but I picked up more of the hands on stuff when he was here than I did the technical stuff in the software. So that's where I'm lacking. And I tried to do a print the other day and I was missing something. So, you know, there's that. Um, what else? Oh, I did get in my Colonial Viper Mark II from Mobius. I guess it's Mobius. Pretty sure it is. I don't know. Yeah, it's Mobius. So I got that to do in the near future, which that kit I got everywhere else. It was selling for about 90 to 100 and plus, like 150. I found this one with all the photo etch, aftermarket decals, and a couple other things. Came with the kit, and I got it for under $60. That was that was a great deal. So I jumped on it. Normally, I would just, I can live without it. But when I find something that I want to have eventually, but the price is super good, I'll I'll jump on it reluctantly because I do like to gauge myself on my spending. So, and I think, yeah, I think that's about it, guys. I'm going to do a little work on this thing right now, basically brain work, because I need to figure out what I want to do with the lighting here. When I do projects like this, I pick a spot, I figure it all out, what I want to do, get it done, and then I move on to the next problem or, yeah, next thing to be solved. Because uh, that just works best. And so I'm going to do that and look through all my little greeblies and junk parts and see what I can use in here to uh, make this thing cool, you know. Uh, thing about the lighting I was telling you about, I need to make them all the same size, whatever shape, and they can't be too awful large, just large enough to accommodate a strip of 2 to 3 LEDs per light, probably two. Frost, sand the backside of the transparency, frost it out, or and do whatever. Sometimes with those little lights, you could take either cotton, like cotton balls, or the what's the I don't know, polyester type cottony looking stuff, and you can put that over your LEDs. It'll still transmit light, but it tones it down, and you can put that in your little light assembly to uh, or you can paint a very light coat of white or a diluted coat of white and spray the backside of your transparency with that. I don't know. There's all kinds of techniques you can use. It's up to personal preference. I For the same thing I just described, I've seen people cut down a piece of paper towel and use that. Hey, whatever works. and you didn't know it was paper towel back behind the transparency. But like I said, LEDs don't generate a lot of heat, so um, you could probably do whatever you want to do. Um, I still use this stuff, and these are new tubes I bought. Um, I find it works in most applications, but for stuff, not for intricate stuff typically. I like this stuff or this stuff, and then I use this stuff, which is accelerator, and these little things of toothpicks come in handy for gluing. And yeah, so I'm going to try to sort out this little lighting thing I want to do on this garage door, for lack of a better term, and um, and then move on from there. So that's all I got for now, guys. Just wanted to touch base. Um, I know I keep saying it, Jeff Steele. I am going to get on the Nebula class. I am, what I'm doing, honestly, Jeff, is I am pacing myself because, as you guys know, I've laid off for quite a while here and there over the last 10 years or so. And my skills have waned, if you will, gotten a little rusty. So before I start getting too deep in the woods with the Nebula class, I want to practice and get my skills honed on some challenging things, and it'll set me up better to, you know, get through that build process successfully. One thing I wanted to point out to you guys too, if you notice, I cut some thinner uh, sheets of the 40,000 styrene, which is what the walls are made out of, because of the base. Uh, I needed to have something on the outside to attach these walls to and make them strong, and it worked perfectly. So it was a good call on my part. Um, Outside that, I'm gonna get busy on this. I'm gonna watch my TR-3B Black Mantis, the U.S. Air Force's secret anti-gravity spy plane video. I do look for resource material when I'm doing builds, because it gives me ideas, tells me whether I'm heading in the right or wrong direction, or you know what's commonly accepted. I don't know. It's just helpful. It just I watch these things and sometimes bam, stuff pops up in my head and I'm like, oh, cool. There's the answer. I was looking for that. Outside that, you guys, I am really tired and I don't know how long I'm gonna be able to stay at this tonight. So the missus doesn't get off till 7:15, and then she won't be home for at least 45 minutes to an hour after that, depending on traffic. So, and if she decides to go swimming or not, I don't know. So, yep, that's it. I am going to uh, try to sort this garage door lighting and all that stuff out here real quick. Peace. As soon as I get my mouse over here to come on. Where is my mouse? There it is. Okay. Anyways, guys, that's it for now. Take care.